I hosted my sister-in-law's baby shower at my house, then was shocked when she asked me to leave 15 minutes before the guests arrived. Hello, I am 28 years old and have been married for the past 3 years. My husband, 32, and I have been together for 5 years. He is currently living away from home due to employment. We have a long-distance relationship, and he comes home every other weekend to spend time together. We have our own house, which we purchased a few months ago, just before he left. It's a really beautiful site and it's close to my parents' house, making it easy for them to visit me and for me to visit them. The architecture is lovely and it's pretty spacious, which is ideal for me because, despite the fact that I'm the only one who lives here, I enjoy the atmosphere. It's simply a lovely home in a wonderful area, and I adore living here. When I hosted my housewarming party, I received numerous praises of all the people who seemed to admire this house. My sister-in-law, Loli, who is 30, seemed to enjoy it the most since she couldn't stop praising it. She and I do not have a tight friendship, but I believe we have always been on decent terms. So, a few weeks ago, when she asked if she could have her baby shower at my place, I said yes without hesitation. Despite the fact that we are not very close, I consented for a number of reasons. The first was that she was pregnant, which I couldn't say no to. I also spend a lot of time alone at home, so I thought it would be wonderful to meet some new people and get out of the house for a change. I even took one day off to help with everything. She insisted on having the event at my house since she did not want to spend a large sum of money renting a location, especially since I had such a gorgeous home. Her own house was nice, but it was nowhere as nice as the one I lived in, and it was also slightly smaller. I guess the flattery got to me because I couldn't help but say yes. And to be honest, I had no excuse to say no because she had always been nice to me. So I agreed. Honestly, I had no idea what was going to happen. Even as we were preparing everything, she provided no indication that I wasn't welcome at the baby shower. I was involved in the entire planning process and she came to see me virtually every day for the past 2 weeks so we could sit down and discuss everything we wanted to do, from the food and menu to the decor. I was involved in every aspect of the planning and was really looking forward to this event. I expected this event to strengthen our friendship even further, but I was caught off guard at the last minute. On the day of the event, I assisted the decorator in setting up the venue an hour before the guests were scheduled to arrive. Jolie arrived about 45 minutes before the event's start time and thanked me for everything. Even then, she appeared absolutely normal and spoke to me as if we were friends. However, about 15 minutes before the guests were meant to arrive, as stated on the invitation, she turned around and asked me where I was going to spend the next few hours. I was perplexed and assumed she was joking when she posed the question. She was practically having a baby shower at my place. Obviously, I assumed I'd be there. I'd even dressed appropriately and purchased her a gift. So, I asked her if she was joking, and she said with a serious expression, no. She then made a few very fair comments that I hadn't considered because I was too focused on assisting her. Jolie explained that I had not received an invitation and was not even on the guest list. Honestly, I'd noticed those things. I just didn't care, since I assumed I'd be invited and a part of the celebration because I helped arrange it and was even allowing her to hold it at my house instead of paying for a location. I believe anyone in my position would have expected the same thing, and she and I didn't have a particularly poor relationship. So why would I have imagined I wouldn't be attending the event? I told her the same things and she apologized for the mistake, saying she had assumed I was only trying to help her professionally, which didn't make sense because I'm not a party planner or event organizer. I am a banker. This has nothing to do with my work, so I'm not sure why she would infer such a thing. Anyway, I was very upset and I think it showed on my face. So, after a while, she told me she didn't want to argue with me, since now wasn't the time for petty disagreements, and she also didn't want to be upset because she was pregnant. Then, she informed me I had to go because this gathering was only for her close relatives and friends. Only a tiny number of individuals were permitted to attend since she desired a small and intimate setting, and I did not meet the requirements. She told me to leave before the visitors came because she didn't want to cause a scene, and the conversation was bothering her. I was so outraged that I walked out of the room and decided to phone my husband right away to complain about what his sister had done. I was in the backyard at the time, since I had no idea where else to go. I tried phoning my spouse, but he was busy at work and in a conference, so he couldn't pick up the phone or text me back. I was very upset, so I did something unusual and called her husband instead. Jolie's 33-year-old husband, Hubert, has been with her for the past 4 years, and they have been married for 2. I haven't had much interaction with the guy, but he is normally quiet and reserved. After the incident, when Jolie instructed me to leave my own house, I was furious and wanted to retaliate. I decided to call him and explain everything. He listened without saying anything for a long time. After I finished screaming, I apologized for telling him everything, but I was so dissatisfied with how I was being treated because I couldn't speak to her for fear of offending a pregnant woman. I was telling him what had transpired in the hopes that he would confront her later and explained why. He apologized on her behalf, which helped calm me down a little. Then he said I didn't have to leave my house, since it would be silly, and that he'd be over in a few minutes. All I had to do was wait till then, since he didn't want any arguments between us to escalate. This looked reasonable to me. I waited 15 minutes, and Hubert came to my place before the first guests. Jolie was shocked to see him, and as soon as I heard the doorbell, I went inside my house. The 3 of us were in the living room when Hubert strolled in and told me that I could attend the baby shower without leaving. Jolie tried to argue, but he simply gave her a harsh look, and she remained silent. After that, she kept shooting me angry looks the entire time we were there, and I resolved that I would never interact with her again. I considered canceling the baby shower, but I didn't, because I had put a lot of time into preparing it and didn't want it to go to waste. Besides, after Hubert arrived, I didn't have the heart to do it, nor did I believe it was essential, so I decided to let the evening run its course. After we finished the baby shower, I simply stopped talking to Jolie. I kept my grace and dignity throughout. I can't say the same of her. After everything was over, Hubert apologized to me again for everything, but Jolie refused to look at me. She also apologized for receiving an excessive amount of negativity from her, because she felt she didn't belong at the gathering and had imposed it on me. It was incredibly frustrating to behold, but at least the nightmare was done. After they went, I contacted my husband and explained everything in detail. He was upset and wanted to speak with his sister, but I encouraged him not to worry, at least not that night, because it would just make matters worse and lead to further conflicts. It was the last thing I wanted. I just wanted tranquility, but I guess that wasn't in the cards for me just now. My in-laws called me the next morning, and they were really angry. They told me that after the baby shower, when Jolie and Hubert returned home, they had a tremendous fight over what I said. Now, Hubert had decided to leave and refused to speak with Jolie or anybody else in her family, including my in-laws. This was unusual because, as far as we knew, Hubert had a very good connection with his in-laws, who were longtime friends of his parents' family. But now, following their disagreement, his entire family had blocked them on social media and everywhere else, making it plain that they did not want to associate with them. To be honest, I had no idea what this had to do with me. But my in-laws and Jolie seemed to believe that if I had simply held my tongue and done what Jolie told me, they would not be in this situation in the first place. I thought it was unfair that they were attempting to blame me for this, because it was clear that it was Jolie's fault, and I had nothing to do with it. So, I lashed out at them, telling them I was not going to take it since I knew it wasn't my fault. Jolie was ungrateful to me because I very generously allowed her to host the baby shower in my home for free. But instead of respecting that and our relationship, she decided to humiliate me by telling me that I couldn't attend an event held in my own home and wanted me to leave, because she apparently didn't think I was close enough as a family member. I also told them that if my husband had been around, she would not have tried to try anything like that. I didn't regret informing her husband what she was trying to accomplish, because he was the only reasonable person in the circumstance. If he decided he'd had enough and wanted to go, I knew he was making the proper choice because I trusted his judgment. So, I wasn't going to try to resolve the matter because I didn't believe I had done anything wrong. I also didn't think Hubert was doing anything wrong, and if he wanted to divorce, he had my full support. I was not going to speak to him or retract anything. If my in-laws called and asked me to talk to him and rectify this, they'd be unhappy because I wasn't going to do it. After saying that, I hung up. We have not communicated since, but they have done everything they can to get me to respond. It's been 2 days, and while I haven't blocked them yet, I'm thinking about it because they kept telling me that whatever the issue was, it was between Jolie and me, and there was no reason to involve him in this. I don't see where that is coming from, because even if it's between Jolie and me, it was my decision to inform her husband, who is also a member of the family. I assumed he should know. I don't believe I did anything wrong by exposing her because she was mistreating me and being ungrateful. I thought her husband deserved to know how she was acting, since I knew he was a logical guy who would intervene. They're trying everything they can to distort the facts and make me feel horrible, but I can't help it. I don't feel horrible about what's happening to her, and they keep saying that because of my decision, their future child may grow up without a father role in their lives. To be honest, I believe it is an exaggeration, but that is how they are portraying it, and I have no idea what to say. The only reason I haven't blocked them yet is because of the way they say things, which makes me question myself. Even though my husband believes I did nothing wrong, he has told me that he would try to talk to his parents and convince them that this was Jolie's problem, not mine. Instead of attempting to attack me, they should speak with her about it and be supportive. Right now, I have no idea how to deal with the problem. I have no regrets, but based on how they are acting right now, I don't think this will stop anytime soon, and I just want it to be over. Also, I have no idea why Jolie did what she did. Therefore, I have no explanations right now. Am I the wrong person for bringing my sister-in-law's husband into our disagreement and informing him how she was acting? Update 1. It has been nearly a week after the baby shower. Jolie and Hubert are still getting divorced, and it is now official. She hasn't spoken publicly yet, but he disclosed it on social media, so it's major news. I didn't expect it to happen so fast, but it appears that he has already filed the petition, and the proceedings will begin shortly. Since Hubert returned to live with his parents, they've been living apart. According to what I know, I was able to speak with him. Though I didn't believe it was proper, given what had transpired, and I felt a little terrible. After discussing it with my husband, he decided that at least someone in our family should contact him. And as he and I were the only two individuals who hadn't been blocked, he definitely kept these channels open in case we wanted to talk to him. I decided to reach out to him and apologize for all that had happened, but it didn't sound like an apology. It simply sounded like I was guilty in general. Despite this, I believe he sensed my shame and assured me I didn't have to blame or punish myself. He'd been on edge for quite some time. After much deliberation, I texted him and asked what was going on, because I felt I deserved some answers. And boy, did I get them. I found all the answers I was looking for. We spoke on the phone, and I told him I wanted to learn more about what was happening. I felt like I deserved some answers because I had no idea why Jolie didn't want me at the baby shower. As far as I knew, she had only given one reason for not wanting me there. She wanted only close family to be present. However, she had invited a large number of people who did not appear to be very close to her. I had gone over the guest list and knew there would be a large number of people there. It just didn't make sense that I wouldn't be included, because I had nothing against them. And as far as I knew, they had nothing against me. Then Hubert revealed that the true reason she didn't want me there was because she expected one of her friends to attend, whom she was frantically trying to please. This friend had married into a wealthy family, and now that Jolie was preparing to establish her own business only a few months after her baby was born, she wanted to persuade her friend's husband to invest in her venture. She was doing everything she could to please this woman, including organizing a baby shower in my house and informing everyone it was her house. Obviously, she couldn't do that with me around, which is why she wanted me to leave, but I resisted, and she didn't account for it. Fortunately, her companion got sick that day and was unable to attend the event. This did not excuse her attempt to be covert. When they came home, he challenged her about what she had told me, and she revealed that she simply wanted me to skip the event to impress her friend. She refused to admit that the house did not belong to her and pretended that everything was normal, doing everything she could to appear to have a life she did not truly live in order to impress someone she attended school with. Hubert told her that it wasn't appropriate for her to act this way and that she needed to apologize to me because I had been generous and she had just embarrassed me. But she refused to admit that what she did was wrong and battled him. They had been experiencing a lot of problems as a result of her arrogant behavior, and it appeared that this wasn't the first time she had been caught pretending to be someone she wasn't. According to Hubert, they had been dealing with similar challenges for several years. Something had affected her shortly after they married, and she began doing this thing where she attempted to live beyond her means and show everyone that they were wealthy and living a beautiful life in order to please people who didn't matter. Apparently, several of her friends had made unusual comments regarding their wedding arrangements, which must have troubled her. But she is an adult woman. She should not be petty. She shouldn't be bothered by such petty matters, and she should have simply cut links with those friends, because they aren't true friends if they mock your lifestyle and what you can afford. Besides, they weren't living in agony. They were simply leading a normal life. Maybe they couldn't afford costly stuff, but I believe they had it very decently. Hubert is a real estate agent and Jolie currently works for a marketing firm, but she intends to establish her own business after the baby is born. All the more reason to save money rather than spend it. They are comfortable, not wealthy, but that is just great, and I do not believe it is anyone else's concern. Jolie does not need to impress anyone. Hubert had tried to explain these things to Jolie several times, but it made no difference to her, and she continued to do unusual things to impress those around her, generating a lot of problems between them over the years. He had always overlooked problems because he loved her so much. But in recent months, it had been increasingly difficult for him to do so, as they also had to consider their future child. It would be impossible if she continued to spend money as if it meant nothing, especially given their financial predicament. She kept buying stuff without consulting him, and he was frustrated. Anyway, they had been arguing about things like this far too often, and after the confrontation at the baby shower, Hubert decided he couldn't handle it any longer and left. He told me that even if I hadn't phoned him that day, given how things were going in their marriage, he might have made this decision sooner rather than later. Anyway, I didn't have to feel horrible about my actions. I also discussed it with my husband, who stated that while he was sorry for Jolie's situation, he could not claim that it was unjustified in any way. We didn't know Hubert very well, but we knew he had been a nice husband to Jolie so far, and if he had decided to leave, I'm sure he would have considered it through. I also feel sad for Jolie, since I know this may be difficult to deal with while pregnant, but she brought it all on herself. I'm not sure what kind of grown-up woman cares what her irrelevant, gossipy, and vain pals think about her lifestyle. She's in her 30s. I believe she should leave this high school nonsense behind. I'll wait for them to chat and sort it out. But for Hubert's sake, I hope they can spend some time apart before deciding what to do about it. Anyway, I'm not going to get involved in this, and will try to avoid these folks for the time being because I believe they already have enough on their plates. I'm going to block Jolie and my in-laws, since I don't think I have anything else to say to them right now. I hope they can work things out. Perhaps the divorce will be called off or not. I'm not sure what's going to happen with them, because, as I mentioned earlier in this post, Hubert has announced a divorce. But while we were talking, he still sounded very, very upset about things. And I got the impression that he wanted to work things out with her and give it a chance, but she was just being so stubborn about everything that he was finding it difficult to do so. Now, this may be a controversial stance, but I believe they should at least try to work things out, and perhaps she should seek treatment or something, because it is not normal to act this way in your 30s, trying to impress people who don't matter. All I know is that I want things to work out for the benefit of their child. Growing up with divorced parents is never easy, and I don't believe I'd want that for my future niece or nephew. So, for their sake, I hope the two of them can work things out. I'll keep you. But for now, I'm going to stay out of it all and hope for the best. My hubby is planning to do the same. We're planning to get together this weekend because he's coming home, but I don't think he'll be visiting his folks. I'm simply glad I don't have anything to feel bad about anymore. My spouse returned a few hours ago, and we have been conversing. He told me that he has been in contact with Hubert, and the two of them have been communicating for the past few days. Hubert made it plain that if Jolie apologizes for everything and agrees to go to treatment, he will give their marriage another try. My husband is currently attempting to discuss this with his sister, but has yet to receive a response. His parents have told him that she is avoiding talking to anyone right now because she is sad and needs time alone. I suppose everyone is giving her the space she needs right now. I'm not sure what decision she'll make, but I hope she chooses wisely. Regarding the last post here, Several people branded me selfish since you all believed my husband and I were greedy for not assisting Hubert and Jolie. First and foremost, I am not sure how many of you reached that conclusion. But let me clarify that we were able to purchase this house at a reasonable price. If it had been out of our price range, we would not have purchased it. Second, Hubert and Jolie are in a wonderfully stable situation, and I don't believe they would enjoy us treating them as if they needed our help. Also, my husband and I are roughly on the same level as them, so I'm not sure why they'd need our assistance or vice versa. That's bizarre and irrelevant. But because some of you mentioned it, I felt compelled to clarify. Some of you also objected to my statement that I wanted the two of them to sort out their differences if they reconciled because you believe Hubert deserves better. Perhaps he does, but it is ultimately his decision. I don't understand why so many of you want to vent here, call me names, and label Hubert sad, without knowing who he really is. They love each other despite their current challenges. They are going to have a child together, and I believe that is quite essential given the circumstances. They can't simply abandon each other and go on with their lives. So yeah, I hope and continue to hope that they can resolve the situation. I believe that is all I have to say for now. Update 3. It's been about 3 weeks since my previous visit, and I just wanted to let you know that Hubert and Jolie have decided to work things out and give it a go. I'm overjoyed for them, even though I'm still not on good terms with Jolie. But I found out from my husband that the two of them have agreed to try couples therapy for a few months and see how it goes. They will continue to live separately, and once the baby is delivered, they will monitor how things go in the first few months. If all goes as planned, they will return to live together. I am happy for them. I realize this isn't what many of you wanted, and most of you wanted Hubert to leave Jolie, but luckily for him, he'll do what's best for him, and everyone else will just have to deal with it. Update 4. After a few months since my last post, I guess I'm here to wrap things up. Hubert and Jolie are getting a divorce. They had been going to therapy together for a long time, but it didn't work out, and they eventually decided to part ways. The good news is that they tried, and if they decided it was best not to be together, so be it. As I already stated, it is their decision. At the very least, they are ending the relationship amicably, especially now that the baby has been born. So, I guess they'll be co-parents, but at least they'll strive to provide a good life for the youngster.